This is the Mecca Energy Optimization Residential HVAC Answers straight from the Source series, and today we're featuring Rheem Manufacturing and the ProTerra Hybrid Electric Water Heater. I'm Diana Kako, your trade ally representative for the Energy Optimization Program. I specialize in HVAC and insulation retrofits for existing homes. However, our program does also cover new construction, so please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you are working on a new construction project. You can always reach out to me by phone or email, and if you have an application that needs to be sent in and you don't prefer email, you can also fax us those applications. Please note that should you ever run into a question in the field and you need assistance, but you don't want to give me a call, you are welcome to text my phone number. I'll be happy to assist you. And on top of helping you navigate the Energy Optimization Incentive Program, I'm also a BPI certified building analyst. Again, this is an energy optimization collaborative webinar, and the utilities that are participating in our program are a mix of rural electric cooperatives and municipal electric utilities spread out across the state of Michigan. So while we may not be able to travel to all of these locations in person right now, we can take a little quick tour of Michigan. I just want to give you a general idea of our service area. Starting in the central Upper Peninsula, we have Elder Delta Electric. Their service territory is highlighted in the dark blue coloring, and you'll also find some of our municipal electric utilities up here. If you're in the southern portion of the central lower peninsula or Upper Peninsula, you'll find the city of Escanaba, the city of Stevenson, and Daggett Electric participating in our energy optimization programs, but Daggett Electric only offers incentives for commercial and industrial account holders. And then if we go to the northern central Upper Peninsula, we have Marquette Board of Light and Power, providing power in Marquette and the surrounding cities. In the western Upper Peninsula, in the red shaded areas, you'll find Ontonagon County REA in the cities and surrounding Ontonagon, Barry, and Lawrence, and then in the surrounding cities around Houghton and Hancock. Before we leave the Upper Peninsula, let's go over to the Eastern Upper Peninsula to the light green color. That is Cloverland Electric Cooperative's territory. That is from Manistee all the way over to Drummond Island, as far south as Mackinac Island, and as far north as Paradise and Sault Ste. Marie. In the middle of their service territory, you will find the village of Newberry, also participating in the energy optimization program and offering the same incentives. So if you are in the Eastern Upper Peninsula, unless your customer is completely disconnected from the electric grid, you will likely be able to submit incentives to the Energy Optimization Collaborative on behalf of your customers. Moving down into the lower peninsula, we have Great Lakes Energy in the light blue, and they extend from the tip of the mitten down just south of the greater Gaylord area and into Antrim County. And then we kind of skip over the Cherry Capital region of Michigan and pick up coverage again in the greater Ludington-Scottville area, going down to Hart and Shelby, and then surrounding Grand Rapids, but excluding Grand Rapids proper. Then we have Homeworks Tri-County Electric. Their service area is from the greater Clare area down along the 127 corridor, ending just south of Lansing. Then that brings us to Midwest Energy and Communications territory, and you'll find them just south of the Kalamazoo area and west of Kalamazoo down to the Indiana border, and over in southeastern Michigan in greater Lenawee County around Adrian and Tecumseh. I do want to point out that Midwest Energy and Communications does have service provided in the states of, I believe, Indiana and Ohio. If you are working with an MEC customer whose service address is located outside of the state of Michigan, they do not qualify for energy optimization incentives. Last but not least, we have, in terms of our rural electric cooperatives, we have Presque Isle Electric and Gas in the northeast corner or the Sunrise side of Michigan, from the greater Sheboygan area down to just south of Alpena. And our last municipal electric utility, the City of South Haven, located right on Lake Michigan's shoreline, also participates in the Full Energy Optimization Collaborative. So we'll go ahead and take a quick look at our commercial and industrial incentive. That is a $700 incentive that's eligible for new construction projects that have a commercial and industrial electrical account with our participating utilities, or in an existing building for the replacement of an existing electric water heater. Our minimum UEF or energy factor requirement is 2.0 for a heat pump water heater, and there are not any size restrictions. We do just want to point out that if you are working with larger commercial properties, including like commercial kitchens, those might be considered a high use application. So those could be eligible for additional incentives. So it's good to reach out to us rather than just sticking with the $700 incentive. And then if you are looking at a residential size unit, those are actually good solutions for convenience stores and smaller commercial businesses that have low hot water usage. In terms of residential incentives for energy optimization customers, again, that is a $700 incentive on the heat pump water heater. This is for new construction and existing water heaters that are being replaced. Still the same energy factor or UEF requirement of 2.0 or greater. And again, there are not any size restrictions. The Rheem product line has models from 40 to 80 gallons. So whether it is a small home or a large home, we have heat pump water heater options for everyone. The residential incentives are issued in two forms. Again, for the Energy Optimization Collaborative, there's a mail-in rebate, and we send a check to your customer 6 to 8 weeks after the application is received. However, if you are purchasing your heat pump water heaters from Young Supply, you have the option to request your customer's $700 rebate at the time of your purchase. However, not all of our utilities have this option. Again, the midstream incentive at Young Supply is $700, and that's available to our Cloverland Electric customers, again, in the northeastern Upper Peninsula, Great Lakes Energy, Homeworks Tri-County, PIE&G, and Midwest Energy and Communications. Sorry, I went out of alphabetical order there. But again, this is open to all of our rural electric cooperatives in the eastern Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula. Again, in order to get this incentive, you should be asking your Young Supply representative to apply this discount for you. In order for them to apply the discount, you do need to provide your Young Supply rep with the member's name and address as it's shown on their utility bill and the account number if they're comfortable giving that out to you. Again, Young Supply is going to verify that the electric service provider at the address you've given them is one of the 5 above. They will provide the $700 discount, and we want you to carry that discount to your customer. Make sure that the final customer sees that the $700 incentive was applied when it was purchased. After that, after you've shown that the customer that they've received their rebate, you do not have any additional paperwork to complete. If you'd like more information on this particular program and would like to request collateral, go ahead and view our website at michigan-energy.org /midstream HVAC. So we did market this presentation to you as showing off up to $1,200 in incentives, and that is possible for our Great Lakes Energy residential members. And you'll find them again in that blue Great Lakes Energy service territory in Northwest Michigan and along the west central areas of Michigan. It's an additional $500 rebate that comes from Great Lakes Energy. Same requirements. 2.0 UEF, preferably installed by a licensed mechanical or plumbing contractor here in the state of Michigan, and returning the rebate application within 30 days. You can find this application if you serve Great Lakes Energy Electric members at gtlakes.com on their energy efficiency page. So again, for Great Lakes Energy customers, there are two separate rebates, one through energy optimization of $700, either issued in the form of a rebate check direct to the customer or in the form of an instant discount. We also have the Great Lakes Energy rebate of $500, and that, again, you need to make sure that that rebate application goes back to Great Lakes Energy at their Boyne City P.O. Box address, but that will give the customer a total incentive of $1,200. Again, just wanted to show you guys a quick note that Energy Optimization has offered incentives on heat pump water heaters as early as 2012. Interest in the product was a little bit low as it was newer and the incentive was very low. But I do want to show you that in 2018 and 2019, as we really started to see significant improvements in the product as it had been out for several years, people had built up confidence in the product, and we increased our incentive from $200 to $500 and then to $700. You can see that with these higher incentives, if you are looking at an electric water heater at a $700 incentive, there isn't a reason not to put in a heat pump water heater in its place. And just so you know, our heat pump water heaters are not just concentrated in the warmer portions of Michigan. You can see in the last 2 years some quick locations on the map on the right of where we have heat pump water heaters installed, and they extend across all of our electric utilities and service areas. Just so you know, we have some energy optimization collateral available to you that supports the product. So for those of you that are purchasing your water heaters through a wholesale provider, you will find two handouts, one version of the Rheem and one version of the Rudd heat pump water heater flyer that shows the available product, the usage type, so is it a high, medium, or low usage scenario, the energy factor of the systems, and the rated nominal gallon capacities, along with a little reminder about all the incentives that are available. This handout is available to you on the GoToWebinar control panel. We also have a customer leave behind fact sheet, so if you are already kicking off and getting started with furnace tune-ups, feel free to request some of these half-sheet flyers. Gives homeowners a reason to think about a heat pump water heater, and it talks about some of the energy savings and incentives that are available across the life of the product. And again, we're going to go through some of this in more detail shortly. I do want to point out that the energy optimization collaborative utilities, some of them did have load controls on their existing electric water heaters. Again, we know that electric water heaters can be somewhat expensive to operate. That's why we have an incentive for heat pump water heaters. So previously, load controls were used on those electric water heaters. You will find load controls in some customer residences for Great Lakes Energy, Homeworks Tri-County, and Midwest Energy and Communications. With Great Lakes Energy, you don't need to do anything. This isn't an active program anymore, so you can just go ahead and install as normal. However, if you do see this for Homeworks Tri-County and Midwest Energy and Communications, we prefer you not to connect a heat pump water heater to the load control, just because we don't want to worry about damaging any sensitive electronic components or the compressor in these new heat pump water heaters. If you have questions about the rebates, and I did see that there was one question that has already come in about rebates, and I will just answer it very quickly. That question, I do believe it was in regards to consumers' energy rebates. This particular program is energy optimization and it does not include consumers' energy. I am aware that consumers' energy does offer a rebate on this product. I believe that that incentive is $400 and that is limited to models below 55 gallons in capacity. You will need to contact your account manager with consumers' energy in order to be able to fully understand how rebates are submitted and claimed with consumers' energy. And I do believe for Southwest Michigan, that contact will be Monty Stanlowski. If you have questions, additional questions about rebates anytime, feel free to reach out to me. And if you need to know about other additional utility incentives, there is a great resource on the Michigan-Gov MPSC website that's linked here. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn the presentation over to Rusty for our technical question and answers session and details about the changes to the Proterra hybrid electric water heater.
Good morning, everybody. Nice, cool morning here in Kentucky, and I'm looking forward to getting out with my bow tomorrow morning. So anyway, that's my contact information. My name's Rusty Skaggs. Russell's my given name. Licensed master in Kentucky and Ohio. Been in the trade over 30 years, and started working for Rheem about 4 years ago. They've hired a team of master plumbers who we shut our companies down and went to work for them, and we're out there to support the plumbers and contractors in the field. So if you have any technical questions, information you need, feel free to reach out to me. On this call also is Tim Goggin. He is our utilities manager. I will get his information to you here towards the end. And like I said, feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'd love to help you with any technical questions, things like that that you might have.
Introducing the new Rheem Hybrid Electric Water Heater. Here's how it works. A fan pulls air through the upper enclosure of the heat pump. The air passes through a filter to remove any debris or dust. Heat in the air is absorbed by eco-friendly refrigerant inside the evaporator coil, and cool, dehumidified air is exhausted. Refrigerant is pumped by a compressor through the refrigerant system. The compressor increases the temperature of the refrigerant, which is delivered to the condenser. The condenser tubing is wrapped around the water heater tank where heat is transferred from the refrigerant to the water. Rheem Hybrid Electric Water Heater installs as easily as a standard electric water heater. It also provides more hot water than most electric units and delivers it faster. Rheem's new hybrid electric water heaters. Savings, peace of mind, and convenience from the start.
We're going to be talking about the Proterra. Rheem's had us, we've been in the hybrid water heater business since the beginning when it all started. Our unit, this is our fifth generation that you're looking at now, as far as how many times, how many generations or revisions we've made on this. This is the fifth one. Things we like to talk about are the fact that it's smart. This unit comes, if you buy the hybrid or the Proterra with leak guard, it's going to come with an auto shut-off valve. So if you have a leak, it's detected, shuts the water off to the unit. Has leak sense detection, which is around the bottom of it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Also has integrated Wi-Fi and Ethernet, which has become a very important to people these days. Everybody likes to have control of things. This has Ethernet built into it. All you have to do is hook it to the Wi-Fi in the house, and it is compatible with Nest and several other of the home control thermostats. You can operate it via remote control if you have the Ethernet app turned on and hooked up. And some of the things that that'll do for you, and we're going to talk about that too, is it also gives you compressor and element health indicators so that you know what if you've got a bad element, if it's not working, or if that compressor is not working up to speed. And last but not least, how often would you like to know if you go to get in the shower after two of your daughters got in the shower ahead of you or the wife, do I have enough water to take a shower? Do I need to wait? You can look at this. It'll show you that also through that EcoNet app, how much water you have available. So like we said, the water heater alerts the homeowners if there's a leak or a problem. It's going to alert them either both across the EcoNet app through their phone, or it can be done. It's also going to flash an alarm, and the screen will flash to let you know from the heater itself. Sustainable, it's the most efficient water heater on the market. Diana was talking about a 2.0. The 80-gallon version of this will operate up to a 4.0 UEF. Now, just to put that in layman's terms so I can understand it, a 4.0 means for every dollar of electric that you put into this heater, you're going to get $4 worth of hot water out of it. Okay, that's how we make that's why we can make the claim that we do, that this thing will pay for itself in under 2 years through its savings. And it's designed for plumbers. It'll fit in tight spaces. All the serviceable components are on the front of the unit, so you don't have to worry about getting around behind it. The other thing is, our unit, you do not have to work on the compressor. Our unit's a sealed system, so if anything goes wrong with the top end, the heat pump part of this on the top, you replace the whole heater. You don't have to go in there and recharge it or work on the compressor itself. If anything goes wrong with that portion of it, you replace the heater. And we're going to talk just real quick. I want to give you some ideas about energy and how this thing saves you money. What you see in front of you is some of the energy guides. If you buy a heater, well, you buy any electric appliance, it's got one of these stickers on it. Water heaters, the way they're used, this is a national average, and what this is based on is a family of 4 for 1 year. And so if you look at that, what it's saying there is a 50-gallon LP. Let me go back. I'm sorry. 50-gallon LP is going to be $687 a year. Your natural gas, you're looking at $277. And you get to your electric, you're looking at around $555 to $600 a year. $224 on your power vents, and then your tankless is around $199. As I said, this thing, the way it operates with this heat pump up top, and it's a 4.0 efficiency. If you look at this, your total investment, let's just say it's $1,199. Standard electric is going to be around $600 to $700. Then you go to your annual operating cost. This heat pump water heater for a family of 4, just like with the standard electric, you can operate it for around $113 a year. That's based on a 12 to 13 cent kilowatt per hour. Now that's roughly $520 some dollars a year, $521 a year in annual savings right there. So in 2 years, that's $1,040. Like we said, it'll pay for itself within 2 years without any issue because of the savings and the way it runs. Now there's 4 models of this. We have a 40, a 50, a 65, and an 80. And we also have there's 4 sizes, and we have 3 models. We have first model is the hybrid builder model. Now this is a pretty basic model. This is more for builders who are getting into it's for new construction more so. Builders are looking to keep price down. If you're a contractor, you know what I'm talking about. Having had my own company and worked with builders, are always trying to keep price down and beat you down. So this is a good way to do that. It has all the ability that these other 2 that I'm going to show you have can be added to this one. It does come with the EcoNet already in it. It is EcoNet ready. The next one's the Proterra. This one, you can get the 4-point UEF if you go to the 80-gallon model, like I said before. It does have a demand response. We've got the quietest unit on the market, 50 dB. This thing's as quiet as your dishwasher or your refrigerator. Got the automatic maintenance alert. We'll talk about that in a little bit. 4,800 in energy cost savings. It's actually going to relate to a little more than that. leak detection and shutoff valve ready. It doesn't come on this unit, but you can add to it, and it meets tier 4 on the NEA. Then if you go to the Proterra with leak guard, which is the top model, this comes with everything we've talked about already. Plus it also has the leak guard, which we'll discuss in a few minutes also, and the shutoff valve. Now, our unit is not duct ready. You do have to purchase duct adapters for it, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. We do have, there's a leak sensor or a sensor for the condensate up in the top there, so that if there's an issue with that condensate, it's not draining. You do have to run a drain off the condensate with the heat pump water heater, and if it's not draining or has a problem, it's going to shut the heat pump down and notify you. Like I said, it's this the display on our new unit. This is generation 5. It's a touch button display, where before it was a touch screen. It's a lot more user friendly and easier to use. We'll talk about that here for a second. You've got a mode indicator, and there's 5 modes on this heater. We'll talk about that. Fault indicator, your current set points. This is to toggle between your modes. Told you we have 5 modes. It does have a scald warning. Once you get to 120 degrees or above, that little icon's going to flash there and stay on the screen and let you know that you're at a scald situation now, if you're running straight hot water. Next screen will get you to your looking through your options. Text display. Enter select Wi-Fi setup. We'll talk about that. Your clear alarm. Enable and disable to turn the heater off or on. Your scroll, which is done through your up and down arrows right here. Now, as far as sizing for a heat pump water heater, this little chart that we came up with, it seems pretty, it's pretty accurate. The 40-gallon model, which we're the only ones that offer a 40 now, which that can be a big deal if you're going into a let's say you're going into an older home with a 40-gallon gas. You're going to replace it with electric. They're going to a heat pump now. This is a smaller heater, so you can get it into that area where you had it, because heat pump water heaters in general are pretty hefty. This 40 gallons a little bit smaller. It's going to help you with those requirements. But as far as how many showers or what you'll get out of a heat pump water heater, a 40-gallon model, you're going to get 3 8-minute back-to-back showers. And as you can see, if you go to the 50, you go to 4, 5 on the 65, and up to 6 8-minute back-to-back showers on an 80-gallon model. Talking about the good, better, best, like I said, we have a hybrid builder model, okay, which you can, it comes in all the sizes. Like I said, it's got the EcoNet Wi-Fi already in it, ready to go. You can add the leak sense to it. Now the leak sense on this, if you see that down here on the left side, it's basically a white rope that's going to plug in right here. That little channel right there, it runs up through there, plugs in inside by that lower element, and then you just lay it in a pan beside it. If you're not familiar with that, Honeywell and several other companies have leak systems for your house, for your basement, and that rope is actually a wick that when it detects, when moisture gets on it, it sends a signal to the board inside and says, hey, we got a leak, we got an issue. With the hybrid builder, like I said, with the EcoNet, you're going to get some compressor health and element health. That's really going to help you with troubleshooting, or your contractor when he comes out to troubleshoot this thing. And if you go into test mode, you can actually see what that element and what that compressor are actually doing. You go into the hot water availability, like I said before. Now you can look at this. It's basically just like you see on your phone battery on your cell phone. That green box you see is either going to be full, 3/4, half, or down to 1/4. So you know how much hot water is in that tank. If you go to the Proterra, now you can add leak sense, the rope, but you can also add the shutoff valve now to the input. Okay, you can buy these both as a kit and install them on the heater. If the person doesn't want that at first, doesn't want that expense, later on down the road they decide that'd be a good idea to have that, you can add to it. Now when you get into the Proterra model also, we offer a 15 amp model. Now, where that's going to come into play is if you get into some of these older homes that only had a 100 amp breaker box or 150 amp breaker box in their house, and they had a gas water heater, and now you're throwing electric in there, and this is going to, typical electric is 30 amps. Sometimes you aren't going to have the room in that box to be able to hook up a 30 amp breaker in there, and because just your breaker box is already used up for the rest of the house. This 15 amp version is going to come into play at that point. Now you can go in there, you can give them a hybrid, change them over to electric, and put this 15 amp version in there because it's not going to eat up as much space in that breaker box. Maintenance alerts. Right now, the only maintenance alert we have is for the filter up top, which, as you see right there, is just it's a screen. It's flexible. Now, we do require 6 inches of space up above the unit minimum so that you can get this filter out. You just pull it out. If it gives you get the alert, it says it's dirty, you pull this filter out, take it under a sink, you're going to run water over it, brush the dirt off of it, dry it out, shake it out, stick it back in. So it's not a one and done filter, it is reusable. Then we get up to the Proterra with leak guard. Okay, now this comes with the leak guard and the shutoff valve already, or the leak sense and the leak guard, shutoff valve and leak sense detection already installed on the unit. Now it's not the white rope, as you can see. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. All right, integrated leak detection. The way we do it on the one with leak guard, if you order it with everything on it, as you can see down here, you see this red band running around there. That's actually a wick at the bottom that runs all the way around the heater. That white rope is inside and is channeled down into that wick. We're showing you right there. Now, if there's a leak detected in that wick, anywhere around there, that wick's going to pick up that water and it's going to bring it to that white rope and it's going to say, hey, we got a leak. If that happens, the next thing that's going to happen in 15 seconds, that thing is going to activate that shutoff valve and it's going to shut that water off coming into that unit. Now, that shutoff valve can be opened and overridden manually. So if it's a false, you can override it. The other thing is that shutoff valve is going to cycle itself. Once every few days, it's going to cycle on and off a few times, and it usually does it in the wee hours of the morning when nobody's using it. And what that's for is to keep that ball valve working, because if you're familiar with ball valves or any kind of valve really, after it's set in a water line for a prolonged period of time without being exercised, they're going to freeze up from calcium and lime buildup on them. This exercises this frequently so it keeps that valve good and working. If you detect a leak on this, let's say it wasn't a leak from the heater, it was a leak from something else, or you got a false negative because somebody sprayed water into the pan or spilled water into the pan. All you have to do is there's a button you can hit on the controller. It's going to override the alarm and it's going to bypass the shutoff and open the valve back up. 24 hours is what that bypass or that override will last 24 hours, and that gives that wick time to dry out. It's not a one and done leak sense. This leak sense works forever, really. I mean, it just, once it dries out, you kick it back on, or it kicks back on, and it's going to be, it's looking for the next leak. The valve itself, this is the controller for the valve. It's a standard ball valve on the heater. If you look at the back of it, right, well, it's going to show you 360 degrees, but if you look at the back, this is where this square fitting right here is going to go down over that ball valve, and that's what how it controls the valve itself. This clip right here is a quick release pin, so if this actuator goes bad for some reason, all you do is pull this clip, lift the actuator off the valve, unplug it, and you can replace the actuator. So it's a quick, easy replacement. Okay, the model lineup and specs, like we said, you have your hybrid builder, which is the base model pretty much. Comes only in the 30 amp. And you can add leak sense to it, but you can't add the shutoff valve. Then we go to the Rheem Proterra, which comes in the 30 and 15 amp, like I told you before, and you can add leak sense and leak guard both to this, so both can be added. And the top line is going to be your Rheem Proterra with leak guard. And I'll be honest with you, what I've seen down in the Ohio area, and this is the one most people end up going with, especially with the rebates you all got going up there. I mean, it just makes sense. Go ahead and get what you get it with the leak guard and leak sense, everything on it. Specs, a couple things I want to point out here. Like I said, the UEF is a 4. That's the best in the industry. The upper element and lower element. Now, if you notice in the 15 amp version on the Proterra, that drops to a 2250 watt element. That's how we get that down to a 15 amp breaker. Your recovery time on that is going to be a little bit slower, but it'll still work and still works well. This comparison real quick to us and the other two that are out there, A.O. Smith and Bradford White. If you see that, the UEF, like I said, nobody's with us on the UEF. Capacities, we're the only one to offer a 40, so we have four levels there for you. Energy cost and savings, we're the highest just because of the way our efficiency is with that 4.0, the 2-year payback. Big thing to point out here too is the clearance requirements. We require that 6 inches above is all we need. A.O. Smith and Bradford White require more than that around the sides of their heaters, not even talking about on top, just around the sides of the heaters so that you can access things and get to things. Widest range of ambient temperatures up in Michigan. I know everybody talks about up north. They say, well, these air conditioners, heat pumps don't work up here. Well, this will. It'll go all the way down to 37 ambient and 145 on the top end. I like to, most people in my area, what they do, if these go in, let's say they go into a ranch home, they duct these things into the attic, pull that hot, humid air out in the summertime and cool it and put it right back up in the attic. Helps keep the home cool, helps the efficiency of the home, dehumidifies it. The other thing it does is if you duct it into a crawl space, if you're familiar with crawl spaces, they stay damp, they stay nasty. Duct this thing into a crawl space, let it pull that air out of that crawl space, dehumidify it, and put it right back in. I've got a couple people I know that have done that. One guy called me, said that within about 3 months of running this heat pump in his house with that crawl space, he said it literally dried that crawl space out. It keeps it dry. So it's another thing to think about. This versus our Gen 4, what's the same? Like I said, we have a 30 and a 15 amp. Can be placed against the wall. We don't have a clearance like that. Like we said before, you can push this thing right up in a corner against the wall. Can be transported on its side. Now, this is a big deal for contractors that are using vans. You take that 80-gallon model, that's 6.5 feet tall almost. You put this, you can lay ours on its side. It's not going to hurt it. Typically with compressors and refrigerants and oils and things, you don't lay them on their side because then the oil settles and you have issues. It's not a problem with our unit. We've tested it. The way we've built it, it works well. I put one in my son's house about a year ago, an 80-gallon model. Threw it in the back of my truck, laid it on its side. It was a 35, 40-minute ride to his house. Took it out, took it down in the basement, hooked it up, fired it up, ran fine. It will not hurt it. And then it's 100% plumber serviceable. You don't have to have a heating license to work on this. Our competitors do require you to work. They have service ports on their refrigerants and stuff, so you do have to go in there and work on their compressors, charge their systems if it gets low, things like that. Our unit is not that way. Like I said before, if anything goes wrong with that top end on that compressor, you take this entire heater out, put a new heater in. That's the way the warranty works, and it's a 10-year warranty. Startup and sequence, enabling and disabling the unit. Obviously, to turn it on, you're going to hit the on-off button. It's going to come on. It's going to show on the display whatever temperature you've got it set at. Disable it, you're going to push that button again. As far as the modes of operation, like I said, there's 5 modes of operation. You've got energy saver, heat pump, high demand, electric, and vacation. This thing comes delivered usually in Energy Saver, okay, which it's using the heat pump and the elements to heat the water. Only the elements when it needs. If you put this in heat pump mode, then it's only using the heat pump to work. And this is going to be the most efficient way to do it. But understand that if you do it in heat pump mode, when this thing's depleted, it's going to take it roughly 8 hours to recover and get that thing back up to temperature with the heat pump only, okay? So if you're a couple or a family that once you leave in the morning, nobody needs hot water all day long, nobody's at the house, put it in heat pump mode, this thing draws less than 3 amps. That compressor draws less than 3 amps. So it's pennies a day to heat that tank back up. So that's going to be your most efficient. High demand mode, let's say you have people come over, you need extra hot water because people are staying for the weekend or something. You put it in high demand mode, it's going to use the upper elements in the heat pump and keep the water hot. It's going to recover a lot quicker. Electric, it's the nice thing about heat pump. If the heat pump does go out on this unit, you're not without hot water. Now you still got an electric water heater down there at the bottom that's going to keep you in hot water until somebody gets out there and replaces a unit or figures out what's wrong. The other thing is vacation mode. This thing will hold and maintain 65 degrees for up to 28 days, and that actually can be overridden to run indefinitely if you hold the feet. There's a way to do that when you're on the controller. Electric, here's just showing you the efficiency and recovery. Electric elements only. It's a fast recovery, but it's a low efficiency because it's a standard electric water heater. High demand, it's very fast recovery. It's going to be medium efficiency because you're using the heat pump as well. And then in your Energy Savers, your highest efficiency, like I said before, but your recovery is going to be decent. It's pretty fast actually. And heat pump only, it's going to be slow, but like I said, that's your most efficient. You're looking at pennies a day to heat that tank up. To change modes of operation, all you're going to do is just click the mode switch. You'll switch between the different modes, like I said, Energy Saver, Vacation, whichever mode you want to have it in. As far as adjusting the temperature, it's real simple. You got the up and down arrows. This thing can go, I mean, like I said, you just hit your up and down arrows. Once you go to 120, as I said before, as you saw, as soon as it goes to 120, that scald guard indicator is going to come on there and let you know that you're in a scald situation now. You can enable temperatures up to 140 plus by pressing and holding both buttons in at the same time and then stepping up. If you want it to go higher than that, I don't know why they want their water that hot, but test mode. This is going to be more for your contractor when he comes in there. This is where he's going to test the heat pump. You press the up and down, you can step through, check your compressor. Hit enter, it's going to tell you how many at 0.075 amps that compressor is pulling at that point in time. It'll tell you exactly what it's doing. Test mode will allow, it's going to allow for individually isolating the components. So if the contractor's in there trying to figure out what's wrong with your heater, he can isolate it down to the element or the compressor or whatever the issue is with it. Press both and simultaneously. You're going to go into test mode, press the up, go to the upper element, enter, and it's going to show you how many amps that element's pulling. Physical installation. Our unit, like I said, we don't have any clearance requirements except for that 6 inches on top because everything's on the front that you need to get to service it. The duct intake duct is through the top, exhaust is through the side. Now, all heat pump water heaters need, ours needs 700 cubic feet of air to run efficiently, okay? Which means if you put this in a closet, like it shows in option 2 there, you're going to need to put a louvered door and have a cut off on the bottom of that door of about 3/4 of an inch so that you can pull enough air. The bottom is where you're pulling, or the bottom is where it's going to pull the air in. That louver on top is going to be mounted so that the exhaust coming out of the top of it is going to blow through that louver so that you're not just sitting there recycling the air inside. And then if you look at the one on the far right, you can go to a full louvered door. It's going to do the same thing. Now, your other options we talked about were ducting. This is a picture of one ducted with, you can use 8-inch flex, okay? You can run as far as duct lengths. If you look at this on the side, this little table down here, it tells you your lengths you can run up to. The other thing to keep in mind, like I said, if you duct this into an attic or into a crawl space, and then I have one guy down here who actually ducted the exhaust into his AC ductwork or his heating ductwork and put a diverter on it to where in the wintertime when it's cold, he can divert it and send it up to the attic. Summertime, he just opens it up and lets it blow through the house cool air. It helps keep the house cool. So you got a lot of options. There's a lot of flexibility there. All right, accessory kits that you can get with this thing. Isolation, earthquake isolation kits, that's more of a California thing. I don't think we need to worry about it too much. These are some of the other things though. Your duct kits, termination kits for the duct, things like that can all be purchased through Rheem. It's pictures of all the parts that you can purchase. This is what they're talking about on the termination kits right here. I went through that pretty quick. Diana, you want to take control again? Let's do some questions. See if anybody has anything.
Sure thing. One thing I'd like to do, if you could just take a quick second, and I'd like to dig into the topic of ducting these units a little bit more. So,
Okay.
from a customer perspective, we have over a couple hundred of these installed across the state, and for the most part, there aren't a lot of complaints about discomfort, especially if the laundry area is not where the water heater is. But if the water heater and the laundry room are in the same spot or in the basement, that tends to be a little troublesome as we get into winter. I know I might be uncomfortable if I was standing around the heat pump water heater when it was running while it was in my basement, because my basement stays about 65 degrees on its own. So how would we really implement the ducted strategy where we can exhaust into the basement or exhaust to the outside based on, say, that outside or inside temperature?
Well, it's like I said, the gentleman that I talked about down here that actually put his into his ductwork with a diverter on it or a damper to where he could divert it and throw it back into the attic in the wintertime and not cool that space down. You could do the same thing. You could have it ducted outside in the winter and then have it to where if you wanted it to stay, blow into your basement in the summertime just to help you keep it cool down there, you could have it to where you could just flip a diverter or a damper and just let it blow inside. Either
Oh,
way would work. They do have one gentleman up here in Ohio that put this Gen 5 in. Now he didn't duct his, but the reason I bring him up real quick is because he put it in his basement. His basement was a damp basement. He ran a dehumidifier pretty much all the time down in his basement. When he put this heat pump water heater in, he took the dehumidifier out. He doesn't need it anymore because the water heater's taking care of it, keeping the basement dry. And this is an extreme, but he actually noticed by pulling that out and putting the heat pump in and taking out the old water heater, he saw a $65 a month decrease in his electric bill. I mean,
I'm
it was pretty phenomenal.
I'm very glad that you mentioned that because anecdotally, we have seen that too from both our customer base that has installed these in the Upper Peninsula and the Elder Delta electric territory. I had a few years ago a customer report an initial decrease of their electric bill by $60, and my most recent customer to adopt a heat pump water heater also mentioned a $60 a month decrease in his electric bill, and he is on Great Lakes Energy. And his thought was, one, I removed my dehumidifier. Two, maybe there was a thermostat or an element that had gone bad in his existing electric water heater that added to the savings. But the vast majority of our customers that have adopted these units have said that they no longer have the need for the dehumidifier, or that small portable dehumidifier in the basement, that the heat pump water heater does that. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute all attendees. So those of you who might have a question, please go ahead and ask away. No questions? All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, I'll go ahead and give you guys back a little bit over a half an hour of your day. I do just want to remind you all that Energy Optimization Collaborative is one of many utility rebate programs across the state. I am aware of other rebates for other utilities on heat pump water heaters. I don't think they're as significant as the $700 or the $1,200 incentive offered to members of the Energy Optimization Collaborative, but there are additional rebates out there if you have one of the other electric providers in the state, such as UPCO, DTE, or Consumers Energy. But again, please keep in mind, if you are getting requests for electric water heaters, ask them what their usage might be and who their electric provider is, and maybe steer them towards a heat pump water heater. Again, there's a number of ways where we can address any comfort concerns that might happen, but typically these are installed without ducting first, and if you do notice a significant amount of discomfort around the water heater, if say it's in your laundry room, then you can add ducting after the fact. Thank you all so much for your time this morning. I appreciate you attending, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
As Diane said, thank you all for coming. Temperature wise, this unit, just real quick, I just thought about this. I've been told by our engineers roughly 5 degrees. So if it's 65 in the room you've got it in, it's going to cool it down to about 60 degrees. So.
And just so you know, Energy Optimization is currently studying 9 of the heat pump water heaters that are installed across the Energy Optimization territory as we get into the winter to truly address and answer questions in regards to how much these change the temperature of its surrounding air. So check back in with us for further updates, all right? Thank y'all. Have a great day.
Y'all have a good day.